Hi, I'm Tom Fuller, and this is The Doctor's Corner. It's July 14th. This is a live call-in show, and tonight we're going to be talking about men's health. My guest tonight is Brian Detman, and we have a lot of things we're going to try to cover tonight. I'm Tom Fuller of Tom Fuller Psychospiritual Counseling, and I work in Portland with individuals, with couples, and with men. I run a men's group, and Brian actually is a member of my men's group, among other things. Yeah. I just want to say a little bit more about Brian. Brian is a executive at Metropolitan Group, a national social marketing agency in Portland. He has a decade of experience in the private sector. Has worked extensively with nonprofits and community-based organizations as a professional volunteer and leader. He serves on the board of Portland Jazz Festival and has a history of involvement with community organizations such as Bridge Builders, Dupree's Family Jazz, and Urban League of Portland. He graduated from Whitman College, and he is married to Catherine Doimling, and they have a 3-year-old son. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you, Tom. It's great to be here.
Great to have you here.
Great, thank you.
Brian and I actually have been planning this show for about a month, and as I said, we're both in a men's group together, and we have a lot to do and a lot to think about men's issues, and particularly men's health. And after we were already planning this, an article came out in the Atlantic Monthly. It was actually on the cover of the Atlantic Monthly, the July and August issue. It was called "The End of Men." And we thought that this raised a number of issues that are pertinent to what we're doing in our group. And I thought that we would just start out by talking about this a little bit and then going from there into some of the solutions that we see might be available or important for men. Because part of what the article is talking about is that men are in trouble in certain ways. It's mainly coming from the economic side of things, looking at how men are doing in the post-recovery, if we are in a post-recovery here yet. Mm-hmm. But it's also talking about, in some ways, the I don't want to say the dumbing down of men. We're looking at some of the images of men that are expressed through mainstream media these days, through the movies. They're not playing any kind of leading male roles that we're excited about anymore. Mm-hmm. They're kind of losers. They're confused. Mm-hmm. So men are losing out in the economic sphere. They're losing out in the bedroom. They're losing out in a lot of ways in this community. And so this is something we want to talk about tonight, and talk about what kind of things can men do in order to find their ground in this kind of shifting territory that we find ourselves in today's culture. So you want to jump in with that, Brian, a little bit? Because I know you were pretty energized by this article, and what do you hear going on here?
Well, as you said, I think that the article covers a lot of ground and has quite a few statistics related to job losses given in the Great Recession, as it's being called. And it also talks about the advancement that women have made. And I think that is an important fact, and a fact that we do not need to frown upon. It's actually something that we should celebrate.
Right.
And it's not that the article doesn't do that, but as we think about solutions in ways that men can reassert themselves, but reassert themselves in more positive and constructive ways, one of the things we can do is celebrate the fact that women have started to make gains. We also need to recognize that though this landscape is shifting, that women still are interestingly not necessarily being paid as well as men in the broader scheme of things, but they're making serious advances in CEO pay and things like that this article covers.
Right.
But there are some things that we can do as men among ourselves that I think will reflect a more positive, constructive, more fulfilling sense of self-image, self-awareness, and prepare us to, I think, be better partners, better professionals, better friends, and that's a lot of the work I think we're beginning to do in the men's group.
Good. Thanks, Brian. I do want to mention that this is a call-in show, and if you want to, you can call in here if you have a comment or a question for either Brian or for myself. The phone number is 503-288-4442 or 288-4448. So please jump in here at any time and let us know what you think about what we're talking about here tonight. So one of the things I wanted to talk about is that I think there's a lot of confusion among men these days about role expectations. There's starting to be a recognition that, we're not in the driver's seat anymore. And some people, like you say, are fine with that. We want to support women. We want to embrace women. We want to lift them up. And other guys are either angry or confused. I think a lot of men are depressed or despondent about this. And part of the reason is that, well, I think there's a number of reasons. But one is that I think there's just like, well, if we're not doing these things that we've been doing for so long, what do we do?
What should we do?
We're trying to find the right things to do, and my woman's angry about me for what I'm doing or for what I'm not doing, or like we were saying earlier, the culture depicts us in a lot of the motion pictures these days as just being these bumbling, confused idiots. Which doesn't do anything for my self-esteem. And so I think this is a really important issue. I think it's really serious that we need to find some real solutions to how men can be in the culture and be powerful and be in relationship with women who are getting their power, but not go to being one down, but not get reactionary and try to slow women down either.